Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to Spiritual Saturday Book Club. Before we get started, let me refresh the page to see how many people are online. So today we're going to be continuing on with Gurus for Hire. And today we're actually going to be finishing off the last section on the Guru. And then we're going to get started on the section on the center, what the center is all about. So let me just see who is online. Nobody yet. Okay, in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I have some guests with me here today. So if they do ask any questions, I'll repeat the question and then I'll answer it for all of you so you know what the question is. Okay? So we get to the section on page 94, which is switching gurus. So it's all about if you want to switch, what is the advice? Okay? Once we meet our guru, we should stick to our guru. We should be loyal in the spiritual sense to our guru. All gurus can promise us the same thing, enlightenment. All gurus can give us different practices that lead to the same thing, enlightenment. It is up to us to pick and to do. It is not good if we go to this guru and run here and there. The guru does not know if we have been to 20 other gurus. But we know. It is a spiritual supermarket, but we pick the item we want. We do not cook steak, lamb, chicken, pork for dinner, do we? Once we have picked our guru, once we are certain about our lineage and our guru, we commit. If we commit to one thing, just like a job or relationship, it will grow. The relationship with our guru will help our relationship with Dharma grow. The relationship with our spouses makes our love grow and makes our loneliness go away, supposedly. Maintaining a good relationship at work, where we spend time in one job, not flit here and there, will make us grow in prestige and earning power. Everybody looks at our portfolio and sees how long we have been at our last job. If we have been switching every month, they probably would not hire us. People who run to this or that center carry politics and negative talk back and forth and make comparisons are very damaging for other people at the center. People who run to different centers are very damaging for any center they go to. They set a bad example to others and they are not loyal to any center. There are people who go to 2 or 3 centers. They say they are involved with one center, then they join another center. When they are not happy, they go back to the first center. This is very, very bad. Because they are not happy with one center, they had a fight with their guru or with someone there, they cannot deal with their anger, their shame or their ego, so they escape to another center where nobody knows what has happened there. I'm going to pause quickly. We do have people that come online. So hello to Pastor Hani, Chu Noel, Kelvin Tan, Audrey Ang, Karen Wang, and yep, that's as many as are online at the moment. Thank you for joining this morning. So we're going through the Gurus for Hire book, and we're going to finish off the section on the Guru today, and we're going to be starting the section on the center, how we should think about the center, how our preconceived notions about what goes on at the center and how the center should be for us is actually not the correct way to view the center. And once we get rid of these concepts or these notions that we have, that is when we get the most out of being in a Dharma center. So I've just read a little bit about switching gurus, or in this says switching centers. And what happens is when people come to centers or come to a particular guru to study with, what happens is that they do have preconceived notions of how the guru should act or behave towards them. Not only that, but also how the center and people in the center, so the Dharma brothers and sisters, should act towards them. And when they don't conform to what is what they want basically from a Dharma center, people get unhappy. So they might have an argument with a Dharma brother and sister, or they might come across a situation in which they're asked to help the center in a way that they're not comfortable with, that they're not, that they basically don't want to do because it's not what they thought a Dharma center was all about. When that happens, they kind of move on. If they're really interested in the Dharma, they move on to another Dharma center. And this is something that Rinpoche advises strongly against, and is something that Rinpoche will discuss later on in the book. Again, if anybody at home does have any questions, please do ask, and I will answer today. There are some people who are easily influenced by what other people tell them. For example, for the last 20 years, I may have been following my lineage, my practice, my gurus, and practicing yellow. All of a sudden, someone comes up to me and says, yellow is not good. You have to practice beige, and indirectly insinuate that my guru was wrong. I go ballistic because my ego lets me think that I have picked the wrong guru. It is not even about the guru anymore. It is about my ego. I may even go as far as to think my guru is wrong, after I have received so much Dharma, love, care, compassion, gifts, and teachings from him. So although I have been practicing yellow for the past 20 years, and my guru has been practicing yellow all the way back to Lama Tsongkhapa's time, I switched to beige because someone told me yellow was wrong. What happens if 10 years down the line, someone else comes along and says, beige is not right. We have found out that gold is right. I am not traumatized anymore because I have switched once, so I will just switch again and keep switching. Why not? I change my clothes, my lovers, my food, my glasses. I will also change my beliefs, my Buddhas, my yidams, my practices. Change is good, I tell myself, but the only thing that is not changing is my attitude. The only fact that is not changing is that I am coming back to samsara. I bought myself a one-way ticket. That is how people act. They have received so much from their guru, and when they just hear one bit of gossip, one tiny little rumor from another side, they really believe it and they jump to that side. What does that tell you about the person? Let's say we are at X Rinpoche's center. We have been getting Dharma from X Rinpoche every day. We have been hanging out at her center. We are all committed and we do things with X Rinpoche. 3 years ago, before we met X Rinpoche, we were with Y Rinpoche. Y Rinpoche flies into town and we go to the center and say, guess what? Y Rinpoche is here. And we tell X Rinpoche's students all about Y Rinpoche. We put posters all over X Rinpoche's centers about Y Rinpoche coming to town. We may have a great heart and good motivation for doing that, but when Y Rinpoche leaves, how do the students deal with X Rinpoche? We make them confused. It is not saying that Y Rinpoche is better than X Rinpoche, but X Rinpoche is giving this much love, care, and time to the students. And when we hype up Y Rinpoche, new people will, of course, feel excited. When we take them there, do another ceremony, get initiation or teaching, they all get hyped up and we make them confused. If they are new in the Dharma and they run to several gurus, they will get very confused. Different gurus are all wonderful, but they have different techniques and different ways. And if someone is not learned or stable in the Dharma or his practice, it will serve to confuse him, not enhance him. When I was young, my gurus never let me go to other teachings anywhere. They would say outright, no, you don't need to go. Have you learned everything I taught you? If we had commitments or a guru before we joined the center, then of course we have to keep a relationship with them. I have that too. My guru is Dzong Rinpoche, but I have gurus from other traditions also. I have to go and see them and meet them. But if I go to the other centers and to the other gurus, I do not go to their centers and tell them, my guru is Dzong Rinpoche, he's wonderful. I do not hang out at one center and then go to another center and put up pamphlets, pass out things, and advertise one center to another. This is unethical. We confuse people this way. There are special cases where we have met other teachers from whom we have received teachings before we met our root guru or resident teacher at our center. When they come to town, we can quietly go, receive teachings, and come back. That is very good. That is all right. It is not like once we meet our teacher, we are not allowed to meet any other teacher. If we have 3 or 4 other teachers, we should, by all means, go to see them when they are in town. But we do not go to the center and say, guess what? My guru whom I met the first time is here. If we have a prior commitment to another center and we have to be there when something is happening, we go off gently, quietly. We do not advertise and make a big fanfare about it. There is nothing wrong with that. We do need to keep our commitments. If one of our previous gurus shows up once in a while and we do not go, that actually would be wrong. We should go. We should pay our respects, but do it with the right motivation. Some people might have an advanced mind and they have been in Dharma long enough to be able to have a few gurus. That is okay, but not everybody is like that. Each guru will have different methods for teaching, and the differences will confuse people. Lama Tsongkhapa had over 60 gurus. Do you think he ran around putting posters of each guru in each other guru's centers? So before I get into that a little bit, I've seen some more people come online. Let's see who is online. Samfun Hey, good morning. Jerry Go and Gillian Lin are regulars. Yin Ping, Pat Ung is also on. Thank you very much for joining. So the part we've just covered is about switching gurus. And actually the main point that Rinpoche always stressed was actually when you switch gurus or you switch centers, what happens is you get confused. Even if there are gurus from the same particular lineage, they're going to have different ways of explaining the teachings to make it more relevant for us today. Because the teachings have come down through an unbroken lineage that stems hundreds, if not thousands of years, all the way back to Buddha Shakyamuni. So when these teachings arose, it was a different time, it was a different society. People thought and behaved in different ways than we do now. So for us to be able to put the Dharma into practice today, for us, to make it more relevant for us, we do need a guru to be able to explain the teachings in a particular way. But different gurus and different centers have different way of practicing. For example, some centers would stress Dharma work more, because that is the way the guru will teach the Dharma, is through Dharma work. Other centers will have a more focused approach on meditation and contemplation. So if we do switch from one center to another, what happens is, all of this while, say we've been training in Dharma work. Dharma work is how we learn the teachings. It's how we think about the teachings. It's how we contemplate the teachings. Because when you're in Dharma work, when you are volunteering with other people that you would have in daily life, you probably would never have hung around with at all. But now you're in a Dharma situation, you're volunteering, you're doing Dharma work. Now you put into practice Dharma that you know, for example, being a kind person, being a compassionate person, how to get along with people, having integrity with other people. These are all part and parcel of the Dharma. So when you're in one center and it stresses training through Dharma work, and then you go to another center and you switch, and all of a sudden it's all about meditation, it's all about contemplation, it's all about sitting on a meditation cushion, not doing any Dharma work, just meditating and contemplating, you're going to get confused. And the reason is because you were learning Dharma in a very focused manner in the first center. And now you've switched to another center, they're using another very focused method. So now when it comes to these topics of compassion, kindness, integrity, the 6 perfections, mind training, things like that, it is, even though you have a history and an experience of it, you are now going to get confused. Now what you are learning in the new center is going to conflict with, in your mind at least, is going to conflict with what you were learning in your previous Dharma center. So when you do that too many times, you get confused about the teachings. And when you get confused about the teachings, ultimately you end up having doubt within the Dharma and then stop practicing the Dharma. This, at the beginning, Rinpoche said, will start off by you not engaging in your daily practice, in your sadhana, not going to pujas, not doing any formal prayers. But then over time, this will actually come to engulf more of the Dharma teachings, for example, compassion, for example, kindness. When you get confused in those sorts of things, you actually stop practicing it altogether in your life. And that basically throws you back into samsara. And that is what we as Buddhists don't want to do. We want to get out of samsara. So sticking to one center, one guru, is the way to go for us for now, until we reach a level where we are stable enough and grounded enough in Dharma practice to be able to actually take on another teacher if there is a need to be able to further our spiritual progress. Okay? Any questions so far? Any questions from the floor? No? Okay. Actually, the next section is a question and answer section that is just a couple of questions that Rinpoche got asked when he was giving these teachings, and we thought that Rinpoche thought that it would be good to include these into the book as questions and answers. So the first question is, how do you reconcile guru devotion with faiths, for example, Zen Buddhism, where masters tell you to go figure it out on your own? So this is how Rinpoche replied. It took a teacher to say to them, go figure it out. The teacher gave them one-liners, or things to think about and figure out. You definitely still need a teacher. Even in the paths that you say do not need a teacher and tell you to do it on your own, somebody tells you to go do it on your own, a teacher. There are some paths where you need less time with the teacher, but the time you are with the teacher is still quality time. Those paths lead to a higher path where you will definitely need a teacher. Going off, finding, thinking, and figuring it out for yourself is guru devotion to your teacher, because you are doing what that person told you to do. In fact, it is harsher, more severe. You are on your own, kiddo. This actually takes me back and reminds me of Pabongka Rinpoche. Now, for those of you who know, Pabongka Rinpoche wrote the Lam Rim text that we use in Kechara called Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. Now, when Pabongka Rinpoche was learning the Lam Rim, he learned it in a very experiential way, because what would happen is he would go to his teacher, who would give him a particular teaching about the Lam Rim. Usually this teaching was quite short. And then he'd tell Pabongka Rinpoche, okay, now go off and meditate on this particular topic. So then Pabongka Rinpoche would enter meditation, quite long periods of meditation, on just one single topic. And once he thought that he had gained some sort of realization of this topic, he would go back to his master and explain back to his teacher what he had learned, what he thought about the topic, what he thought it meant, how it applied to himself, how he was applying it to himself. And if the teacher was satisfied, then they'd move on to the next topic. If the teacher wasn't satisfied, he would send Pabongka Rinpoche back to his retreat room to contemplate and meditate more on the topic. But even in this example, he still needed the teacher to give him a topic, to explain a little bit of the topic to him before he needed to go and to meditate on the topic itself. And through this type of contemplation and meditation, Pabongka Rinpoche was known as one of the greatest Lamrim practitioners of our recent times. So here, it kind of triggered that example when I was reading what Rinpoche said. So, I'll move on to the next question, which is, how do you strike that balance between a guru telling you not to do something and you still wanting to do it? Do you still request? And Rinpoche answered, you check the situation. If it is something you cannot gauge at all, it would be better to trust and just do as he has instructed. Sometimes it is something you can gauge. For example, if you are going down a dangerous part of town to give food to the homeless, the guru might say, no, you better not go. I don't want anything to happen to you. You could then say politely, may I please explain? 4 other people will be going with me, and there are 3 guys. We will be in a car and we will be going together. Then the guru would say, I see, okay, you can go. You might have made plans 3 weeks ahead of time to have dinner with your mother for her birthday, and that night there is a special puja, which your teacher says you have to attend. But if you explain the situation, of course the teacher will be all right. It is not fanatical. It is based on circumstances at the time. There are no hard and fast rules for this. There will be a lot of times when the teacher tells you to do something that you feel is impossible. The whole purpose is to make it possible, to push yourself until you can do it. But you have to take that with clarity, with thinking, with sensibility. The most important thing is our attitude. Are we arrogantly telling our guru that we can or cannot do something? Or are we humbly explaining our reasons to him? It is the attitude behind what we say or do, not so much the words. So then Rinpoche was asked another question. At what point does someone become your guru? And Rinpoche answers, when the student in his heart thinks, this is my guru. There's another question. You spoke earlier about the guru also checking out the student. What if the guru doesn't accept the student as his student? Rinpoche answered, my dear, do you need Buddha Shakyamuni to talk from a statue and say, I accept you? Or do you just think, I believe in you, I'm a Buddhist? Do you think the Dalai Lama has to tell hundreds of thousands of people every year, yes, you are my student. Yes, you are my student. Or do you think people in the audience think, this is Avalokiteshvara, this is my guru? There are thousands of people running around the world who have never had a private audience with him or talked to him, but consider him their root guru. It is from your side, whether you believe it. The important thing is that you yourself think, I am your student. And once you commit to that, you commit to it. Whether your guru accepts you or not does not really matter. If you are under a popular guru who has thousands of students, it would be impossible for each student to get an affirmation from the teacher. Yes, you are my student from now on. Naropa ran around as a student serving his guru Tilopa for 12 years before Tilopa even asked him what his name was. Whether the guru verbally, openly directly or personally accepts you or not, or affirms your tutorship, you still have a responsibility from your side. It is your attitude from your side. This attitude from your side will flow into the guru-disciple relationship automatically. The whole thing about the guru checking out the student is because you may think he is your guru, but he may not think you are a student. So if there are higher initiations or dangerous practices that he knows you cannot make, he will not invite you. Whether the guru accepts you as his student or not, do you not still benefit when he gives you a teaching, and if you practice his teachings? The guru-disciple relationship is definitely defined by the student. Then, when the guru gives you higher practices, it is a clear sign that you have been accepted as a student. There is no confusion. If in your mind you have thought, this is my guru, the relationship is already sealed. Whether people know it or not, whether you verbalize it or not, you have thought, this is my guru and these teachings benefit me. Then if you have an opportunity to say, will you accept me? And the guru says, yes, it is okay. And just because the guru has not accepted you officially as his student, please do not think you can abuse him, beat him up, and be disrespectful. Of course not. Even if someone is not your guru, but you have received Dharma for him, it is still very nice to be respectful. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I've seen some more people come on. Any questions? No questions. Okay, then I'll continue on. Another question that was asked, do you have to take refuge with every guru? Taking refuge with someone does not mean he is your guru, and it does not mean that the person who gives you your refuge is your root guru. Taking refuge means you have entered and started on the path to practice to become a Buddha. To fulfill that refuge, if necessary, you might have 14 gurus who give you knowledge. That will be very vast and wide to help you fulfill your refuge commitments. But to take refuge with 14 gurus is unnecessary. It is like saying that you want coffee and you get a cup from each guru, so you have 14 cups. It would be impossible to drink all of that. One cup serves the purpose. You do not have to take refuge with 14 gurus, you take refuge with just one. Even without taking refuge, your guru can still be your root guru just by you simply saying, I request you to be my guru. Please may I be your student. Even before he has accepted, if you think you are his student, you will become his student. As I said, Naropa thought of himself as Tilopa's student for 12 years, but when he mentioned that to Tilopa, he got a bashing. Tilopa said, I am not your guru, you are not my student. I have never seen you before, I hope never to see you again. He gave him another bashing with his walking stick and walked away. Naropa was like, oh, he likes me. You should read the story, it's so funny, but this is really what happened. One more question. Could your root guru be the author of a book that you've read, even though you've never met him? Rinpoche answered, yes, he could be. But if he has great writers around them, like me, then he might be taking refuge in the writers. Can you have two root gurus? Rinpoche replied, sure you can. But you should not differentiate between guru and root guru. Just think that they are all your gurus. When we do Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, we think that all our gurus have dissolved into Lama Tsongkhapa. When we take refuge in Lama Tsongkhapa, he is all our gurus. That is why the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa is wonderful. Okay, this brings me to a point which I had to clarify this week, which I will share with all of you. When we engage in Lama Tsongkhapa's Guru Yoga, I think most of you who know a little bit of the practices that we do here in Kechara, we all do Lama Tsongkhapa's Guru Yoga. Now it's said we need to visualize our Guru as being one with Lama Tsongkhapa. So I heard some very funny ways of doing this over this past week. Some people said to me that they visualize Lama Tsongkhapa, and as they're practicing the Ganden Lagyama, they remember that they need to visualize Tsongkhapa and their Guru as one. So all of a sudden what they do in their visualization is Lama Tsongkhapa goes poof and he disappears, and all of a sudden the Guru appears there instead. So now you've got the Guru sitting on the lotus holding two stems with a sword and a book, and he looks nothing like Tsongkhapa because they have him wearing weird clothes or whatever comes to their fancy, or however they remember their Guru or whatever. And other people do it by visualizing Lama Tsongkhapa but with the face of their Guru, even if the face does not match the rest of Lama Tsongkhapa's body in the visualization. So it'd be a very small body with a very big head. We do say that you need to visualize or think strongly that your Guru is one with Lama Tsongkhapa. Now how do you do that? Lama Tsongkhapa, or every Buddha, every Yidam figure has a very specific iconography. They have a very specific look. They wear specific clothes and ornaments and have various specific implements. Now, these all have to do with that particular practice, and they all give you a particular benefit for your Dharma practice. So when we're engaging in visualization during a particular practice, we do not change the visualization. We do not add things, amend things, or change things. So the way to actually visualize in Lama Tsongkhapa's practice your Guru as being one with Lama Tsongkhapa is when you visualize Lama Tsongkhapa, you think strongly, this is my Guru. Okay? Another way to do it that Rinpoche has mentioned here is you dissolve that, sorry, I've lost my English today. You think strongly that your Guru has dissolved into Lama Tsongkhapa. That his mind has dissolved into Lama Tsongkhapa and merged with the physical form, the physical visualization of Lama Tsongkhapa. Okay, so that was just to clarify one particular point, because I also talked to a woman this week who was practicing Tara, and she is a student of Tsem Rinpoche. So Tara had Tsem Rinpoche's face. So it was a bit, it was a bit different the way she kind of thought about how to do Tara practice and Lama Tsongkhapa's practice. But remember that Lama Tsongkhapa and Tara and any Buddha has their very specific iconography, a very specific form and way they look. So in your visualization, you do not change that. In fact, when you build your visualization, over time, you should increase your ability to visualize and your ability to visualize the various parts of their iconography and their implements. And that will be actually very beneficial for your practice. Sorry, so that was just a side note, which was something that happened this week. Okay, we have 3 more questions. So, question: is it wrong to go for teachings with another Guru if you've already taken someone as your Guru? Rinpoche answered, if your Guru does not have the knowledge to teach you what another Guru is teaching, then you may request permission to go. If your Guru has the knowledge to give you that teaching, then you do not need to go to the other Guru's teachings. If you have parents, why would you go look for step-parents? If you are sure that your Guru does not have the knowledge and you want to get those teachings, he will definitely not be jealous if he is a real Guru. He would say, yes, I don't know that. Please go and learn from that Guru and come and tell me. But if your Guru has the knowledge and you ask him, can I go to another Guru for teachings? It would be like looking for step-parents when you already have parents. Question: what if you just go to see another guru out of curiosity? Rinpoche answered, curious about what? If you have taken refuge and you have a guru, there is no curiosity, there is practice. Are you going there to be a spectator? Are you going there to be a spy? Are you going there to get ideas? Are you going there to compare your guru? If you are going there because you like watching, or are you going there because you like watching another exotic ritual? So continued on with this, the person replied, I would be going for entertainment. So Rinpoche replied, then I would not go at all. I would really not recommend going for entertainment. If you are going there to increase your knowledge and learning, to see a different approach, and your mind is strong and stable, then when you ask your guru, he will say yes. According to scriptures, the main reason why we go to another guru while our guru is present is if he cannot accommodate what we need to know. That is the main reason. Not all gurus will know everything, so they will recommend and send you to another guru to learn certain things they cannot teach you. But I would not recommend going for entertainment. So that actually completes the section on the guru. So as you can see actually from the book, the section on the guru actually takes up quite a lot. And during the teaching that Rinpoche gave, the Gurus for Higher Teaching, which is actually over 24 hours long, Rinpoche spent quite a lot of time talking about the Guru, because it is, when we are practicing, we all know, it always says in the text that the Guru is important to our practice, in that the Guru teaches us the Dharma, and it's through that we are able to transform. But even after we know that, we have a lot of notions about the Guru, how the Guru should act, how the Guru should behave towards us, towards others, and this actually hinders spiritual practice. So this is the reason why Rinpoche spent so long talking about the Guru. Okay? It's very strange today, nobody has any questions online. Any questions? Question? Okay.
Another question. So how would you then recommend the approach in interacting with, with other Dharma centers or Dharma denominations? Because in today's world, there will be bound to be situations where you have to interact with people who come from Zen Buddhism or higher Buddhism. And I could have friends who come from Zen Buddhism, may ask people, do you want to join us for a retreat? And of course, there will be curiosity there. Of course, there will be willing to learn, to find out what's on the other side. So how would you recommend, for us to be more devoted to the group, but yet to have an open mind, to be able to interact with different people?
Okay, so the question in short, in brief, was, in our day and age, we can come across people from different centers, from different traditions even. So how to put that? What would the advice be when coming across people and from different centers, from different gurus, from different traditions? And I would say, for example, I'm going to take your example of them asking you to go to a retreat with them, okay? Now, how I would approach that, you're asking me, so I'm giving you my opinion about it. My opinion would be, as Rinpoche said to me, that there's nothing wrong with finding out about another lineage or another tradition or another center. The difference is how we act when we go there. And after we have gone there, when we come back to our center, how we act and behave in our center. Okay? So if your friend who is maybe a Zen Buddhist invites you to a meditation retreat at his or her center, it's up to you. You know, you can go, that's fine. You can go and find out what Zen Buddhism is all about. But then my question would, I mean, that's fine, because you're just finding out. It is just broadening your horizons about what happens at another center, what another tradition is about, how they do things. But then my question would be, would you invite your Zen friend to come to your center for a retreat? Okay. So then here, your relationship, this is more actually about your relationship with your friend than about the particular center. Because here you're both Buddhist, you're both in a, you've got your own centers, you've got your own traditions, but you kind of want to find out what the other person is doing, how the other person practices, and that's perfectly fine. Okay? Here is actually more about your relationship with your friend than actually more about your wanting to switch or wanting to learn more, wanting to go to a different center because something has happened. What Rinpoche is talking about in the book is more about, you know, when you're not happy or you're not fulfilled in your particular Dharma center, and then you start running off to other Dharma centers or whatever. It's fine to have friendships with people from other Dharma centers, and it's fine to go to their events. Maybe they're having like grand pujas like we do here in Kechara. Every year we have certain pujas that are quite big. Every year we do have people coming from other centers, and sometimes we are invited to go to pujas in other centers as well. So it's perfectly fine to do that. I mean, we have a Wesak Day fair here. Maybe another center has a Wesak Day event, you know, on another day, not on, okay, probably would be on Wesak Day, but you can still go because it's still Buddhism. And if they're making offerings there, you can make offerings, because any offerings to an enlightened being will generate merit. Okay? So it is more about your intention of doing it, what your intention is behind going to another center or finding out what another center is all about. And coupled with that, I would say that it is, once you have chosen a particular path of practice, if you are committed to it, you're in my experience, you're not going to stray away, you're not going to jump to another path. There have been examples, for example, people in Kechara have been around for a while, and then they all of a sudden go to another Dharma center, and then they start practicing the Dharma taught at that Dharma center and stop practicing what we taught here. But then if you hear about them later on, they actually stopped with that Dharma center and they moved on to another Dharma center, moved on to another Dharma center. So for them, it is not actually about the Dharma. For them, it's about something else. That being said, when you come across a particular way of learning the Dharma, for example, like the way that Tsem Rinpoche taught the Dharma really resonated with me. So I am here, I know my path is following Tsem Rinpoche's teachings, but I can easily go to, maybe if another Dharma center invited me, I would go, you know, to attend one of their events or their teachings or their talks. But I wouldn't get confused, because I know that this is my path, this is the way that I'm practicing the Dharma. And in fact, if you're strong and stable enough in that, what happens is, as Rinpoche said, when you go to another Dharma center or you hear teachings or whatever from another Dharma lineage, even in another lineage, or another way a guru explains the Dharma, you can actually find it and relate it back to your own practice, and that actually bolsters your own practice. Okay? So that was a very good question. Okay, Martin asked a question. What about attending another center's event where another, not your own guru, teacher will be giving a Dharma teaching? Okay, so as Rinpoche mentioned, if you are going to receive, if there's a Dharma teaching, you should request, if you have a guru, you should request your guru for that particular, for permission to go to that particular Dharma teaching at another center. Okay? If you're stable enough in your own practice, your guru will most probably allow you to go and do that. Otherwise, the guru will say, no, I don't give you permission because you can actually learn what that guru is teaching from me. So we should actually try and, if we have a guru-disciple relationship and we've taken a particular guru to be our teacher, we should try and get the most of the teachings from our guru. If you request a particular teaching and the guru doesn't have the lineage of that teaching, or he himself or herself will actually tell you to go to another guru to receive that. Obviously, it depends on your guru. From our side, if we do want to know about a particular teaching or learn more or practice it, and we know that it's happening at another Dharma center, instead of just running there to try and go and get it, we should actually talk to our guru if we can, or if we can't talk to our guru, talk to the senior Dharma brothers and sisters that we have in the center already to see if somebody already has that teaching. So if somebody can share that with us, or we can find out more about that particular teaching from them. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to, go to another Dharma center. We should try and find what we want within our own Dharma center first. Okay, because you might not be able to see your guru to get the teaching, but the guru might have already given it to somebody there, so they can share it with you in the way that Rinpoche explained it to them. That was a good question. Martin asked, how does one know if one is strong enough not to become confused? The mind is easily impressionable. So isn't it dangerous to overestimate ourselves? Yes, that is why you rely on the guru. So you don't consider yourself ready or stable enough to be to receive or go for teachings at another Dharma center or under another guru without checking with your own guru first. And if you haven't, and if you know that you haven't actually practiced enough to become stable, then you shouldn't even ask your guru in the first place, because your guru has given you teachings. Have you actually put them into practice? And there's one way of gauging if you have put them into practice, which I shared with some people earlier this week, which was Buddhism is about being blatantly honest with yourself. If you're not blatantly honest with yourself, there is no way that you can put the teachings into practice. So what you do is you kind of do a self-evaluation, maybe over a month, maybe over a couple of months, maybe over a year. How have you improved? If you don't find that you have improved in any way, that you have actually gone through some form of self-transformation to any degree, from one evaluation to another, then you know that you haven't been practicing. If you haven't been practicing, then you're not going to actually be stable in Dharma practice. So if you can't already put into practice what your guru has already given you, then there's kind of no point in even thinking about asking your guru to go to another Dharma center, to go to another guru to receive, teachings on, emptiness or whatever, because you haven't even put into practice what you already know. So in that case, the thing that Rinpoche said will happen is definitely going to happen. You're going to get confused. Once you get confused, ultimately, a long way down the line, ultimately you will stop practicing the Dharma itself. So the teachings that we know and we've heard, have we put that into practice? If we've put it into practice, we will have changed, we will have transformed. And the amount of that transformation that has occurred will actually be a benchmark for yourself in how stable you are. Then you can ask your guru to go, if you need to go to another Dharma center, to go to receive another teaching, to go to another guru. Wouldn't it put your teacher in an awkward situation if you asked if he would allow you to attend another teacher's lesson or teaching? Tsem Rinpoche has always advocated the one teacher and one center approach because Rinpoche knew it's easy to become confused. Actually, it wouldn't put your teacher in an awkward position, because if you're Rinpoche clearly stated in his teachings that if you ask your guru and your guru says no, then that guru is a proper guru. That goes to show you that the guru is actually doing his job. Sorry, that came out wrong. The guru is actually being your guru. Okay? Rinpoche has always advocated the one guru, the one center policy, as it were, in that you follow one guru, you follow one center, you follow one way of practicing the Dharma. But as I was saying before, the only reason that you would need to actually go to another guru, to actually receive teachings from another guru, is if the guru you're with doesn't have the knowledge or the information that you want or that you need. And if you're not doing it for that purpose, then it means that you are doing it for all of the purposes that Rinpoche mentioned in Gurus for Hire. You are doing it for entertainment. You are doing it because you are not committed actually to practicing Buddhism. You know, all the reasons that Rinpoche mentioned. But you see, if Rinpoche, in our case, if you did actually go to Rinpoche and ask him, can I receive this particular teaching or this particular Dharma teaching from another Lama, Rinpoche would just turn around and say, but you haven't received it from me, so how do you know that I don't have it already to give you? And then if you were stable enough and Rinpoche saw you were stable enough, he would obviously give you that particular teaching. So it in a way, it does put your teacher in an awkward position for having to say no to you. But actually, it's not about how your teacher's position in this, or being awkward or not. What we should actually focus on is actually our position, our mind, and how much of the Dharma that we have actually put into practice in our lives. It is not about whether the guru would be awkward or not for the guru, because if your guru is being a guru, the guru will just outright say no. But it's actually about us. Do we have it in us to actually go to the guru and ask the guru, I want this particular teaching from another guru, please give me permission? Are you just shopping for teachings, trying to get teachings here and everywhere? Or are you actually putting something into practice? That goes back to my example that I gave earlier of Prabhangka Rinpoche. Prabhangka Rinpoche didn't go to his guru and say, teach me the entire Lamrim first and that's it. And then, I'm going to go to another guru to learn the Lamrim. He stuck with one guru and he learnt one topic at a time. And it was only until he had mastered one topic or had a firm grasp of one topic did his guru allow him to move on to another topic. So if we have received teachings, for example, so if we not even received teachings in person, if we've listened to one of Rinpoche's Dharma teachings online and we consider Rinpoche to be our guru, have we put that into practice? Have we had some sort of mind transformation occur from that first? Then we can move on to another video teaching that Rinpoche gave. Then we can move on to a book that Rinpoche wrote. So what we do is when we try to practice the Dharma, we try to grab at many things all at the same time. But actually it's about grabbing hold of one thing, implementing it in your life, and then moving on to another thing. So in that sense, your guru will have many teachings already that you can actually benefit from. Okay? I went off a bit. I went kind of answered your question and then went that way and then went that way and then went that way. So, but hopefully answered your question. Sharon asks, what are some of the indications that our Dharma practice is stable? That you have actually been transforming. So if you can, and here is where you need to be honest. Your guru will actually be able to tell how stable you are. So depending on the advice and the teachings that your guru gives you, is the guru giving you the same teachings again and again and again and again and again in different ways? Or is your guru giving you different teachings? If you are not able to receive teachings from your guru directly, have you put into practice what the guru has taught? Have you put into practice what the guru has written about? Have you put into practice what the guru has taught on videos or audio teachings? Those are the sorts of indications where one is stable in one practice. But again, you see, I can give you that example of that is a way that you can, that's an indication of being stable in your practice. But the only way that indication is actually going to have any truth in it is, are you being brutally honest with yourself about your delusions, about your negativity? Have they decreased? Are you being brutally honest about your virtuous sides, virtuous actions increasing? If you are not honest enough with yourself within your own spiritual transformation, then these indications will be false, because you can say to yourself, oh, I have transformed, I've become a better person, but you're not very honest. Maybe you have not really thought about it. Then these indications are not going to they're not going to be true. They're going to be false. So then you really won't be stable in your practice. But the only way to actually gauge if you are really stable enough in your practice is from your guru. Because your guru is a person that has taught you the Dharma or has shared various means of implementing the Dharma in your life. And the guru should be able to see that transformation occur within you. It's a good question. So good questions from Martin and Sharon. Okay. So if there's no other question, any other questions? Mr. Lam had a question. Yeah.
Are there instances where a teacher removes the student from the center?
The question was, are there instances in which a teacher will remove a student from a center? Yes. Yes. The guru will there have been instances where even historic, I mean, this happens now today, but even historically, the guru will remove a student from a center, but the guru would still remain the guru. So the guru will do this in a very ingenious manner. Sometimes what happens is when people come to a center with the wrong motivation and with certain negative delusions or negative traits, it can create disharmony within the center. So the guru will obviously try to increase the harmony between this person and other people, will give teachings to this person to lessen their negative qualities or whatever. But and this will happen for a certain period of time. In some situations, what will happen is if the student hasn't transformed enough and it's still causing problems within the center or issues between Dharma's brothers and sisters, the guru will remove the student from the center. But the removal is only temporary. And the way that the removal works is the guru will ask a particular student to say, okay, please go and enter into a long retreat and then come back. Please go and engage in a purification retreat and then come back. Please go and do something for a certain amount of time, and they'll be very specific about what they want the student to do, and then come back. If the student is really at the Dharma center for Dharma practice and to actually learn the Dharma, the student will actually go and do this thing, enter into this retreat or whatever, and then will come back to the center. But if this student was just there to make friends, I don't know, cheat their Dharma brothers and sisters for money, I don't know, it's just an example that's coming to mind, then they won't come back. But you will see that with this, I've heard it happening once or twice, and these students actually, if they do come back, they actually come back more stable, in the sense that something has clicked in their mind, something has made sense to them about Dharma practice, about Dharma work. And when they come back, that the disharmony that they were creating or the problems that they were creating are no longer an issue, because they don't engage in those same sort of actions anymore. So gurus do use that approach, but it is not to kind of like kick them out of the center or anything. It's actually to help the person transform in some way or another. Well, that was a good question. Okay, Martin asks another question. Sometimes even with the same guru's students, the guru would use different approaches to teach the Dharma and even different visualizations. Which one should one listen to? Okay, here I'm going to split Martin's question into two parts. One is the guru will use different methods to teach the same thing but to different students. For example, to teach compassion, Rinpoche might say to me, go and watch documentaries on how animals suffer, okay, for the meat industry or whatever. So because perhaps I am quite attached to eating meat, when I see those documentaries, contemplate on those things, it ignites compassion in me for animals. So then I will stop eating meat, I will become more compassionate towards animals. So that's one way of teaching compassion. On another side, Rinpoche could say, every week, make sure 3 times a week you go out and feed the homeless and take care of them, provide for them. So in this case, the other person is doing that, but through that particular action of feeding the homeless, of taking care of them, they start to generate compassion. So you see here the teaching is the same, it's compassion. But here the guru will use 2 different methods for teaching the same thing. Now the other part of Martin's question is that sometimes Rinpoche or a guru will teach different visualizations to different people. Okay, so for example, say if they're engaging in Dorje Shugden's practice, for example, Rinpoche will teach one person one visualization and it will teach another person another visualization. The visualization to each of these people were very tailored. So the guru will know that this person needs perhaps say more energy of protection. So he will give them one particular visualization. And this person needs more the energy of increase. So he will teach them another particular visualization. In another instance, Rinpoche may teach the same protection visualization to 2 different people, but it will be a bit varied. There will be variations between the visualizations. Again, this will be very tailored to each individual person. Now, what if we haven't received a specific visualization that we should be using, which one should we use? Okay? And which one we should use is actually the one that Rinpoche has given, or the Guru has given, for everybody in general. Okay? And this can be found within our, for example, the videos online that Rinpoche has taught, the materials that we have published by Rinpoche, for example, in his books, for example, in his in our various articles on the blog, those are the visualizations that we should be following. So it may become a bit confusing, because here on the blog you've got one visualization, but you know somebody that's practicing the visualization slightly differently. So you're thinking, should I follow his because Rinpoche told him personally, or should I follow the one on the blog? What do I do? The answer here is to follow the standard one on the blog, because the visualization that Rinpoche has given to your friend, for example, is probably very, very tailored for his specific issues at that point in time. So you should always follow the visualizations that are given on tsemrinpoche.com on the blog, in Rinpoche's recorded video teachings or audio teachings, and in printed materials such as the Rinpoche's books. For example, if you're doing the practice of Lama Tsongkhapa, you should follow the visualizations that are included within the book that we have on Lama Tsongkhapa's Guru Yoga. Okay? Sharon asks another question. Would taking on something that other perceives as suffering happily for the sake of others be good as an indication of how much our mind has transformed? Okay, this is a very good question, and actually quite a loaded question. We usually say within Buddhism we should happily take upon ourselves the suffering of others. Now, if you have reached a stage in your practice where you can do that happily, then that would be an indication of how much your mind has transformed. Okay? That definitely would be. On the other hand, if you are taking on suffering as a means to, and you're not happy doing it, but you're using it as a means to help transform your mind to get to that point, that can also be beneficial to some people. Okay? For example, there was a time when Rinpoche was trying to teach me, or some of the pastors, impermanence. And at that point we were going to, on outcall pujas, we were going to do bereavement pujas, we were going, to funeral homes, funeral houses, to do pujas for the deceased. So Rinpoche once sent us a message to actually sit, once we'd finished our pujas, once everything was done, to actually just sit at the funeral home and just to see everybody that went past and see their feelings, see how they were behaving, and kind of try and empathize with what they were feeling. So at that point, we sat there and Rinpoche said, take on their suffering. So we kind of took on their suffering in the sense that we kind of tried to empathize with them, to empathize how they would feel, how they felt having lost a loved one. And because there were just so many people around, at one point it got quite difficult for us to continue doing that because we had been there for so long. So Rinpoche asked us to do that so we could use that to actually contemplate on things like impermanence and death, and using those experiences, taking on that kind of suffering, we could grow ourselves spiritually. So this is also something that is done on the path of practice. But if you are taking on suffering, or what people perceive as suffering, and you're taking that on just to look good, because it has and does happen within Dharma centers, just to look good to your Dharma brothers and sisters, obviously this isn't an indication of anything good happening. This is just an indication that you're using the Dharma as a way to inflate your own ego and to look good for whatever reason. But yes, it can be an indication of how much your mind has transformed if you have the right intention behind doing it. Martin asks another question. In a situation where a guru has passed into parinirvana, can members of the Guru Center seek teachings from another lama, geshe, teacher of the same lineage, or should members rely on the Guru's written teachings and rely on each other for guidance? This is very apt for our situation at the moment. Now, in these cases, what happens is that students should actually still rely on the Guru's teachings, whether that is in written form, whether it is in video format, or whether it is in the minds of senior students. Because the way that Rinpoche has taught is not just through books, it's not just through videos, it's also through example, it's also through some form of transformation of the senior students. So the senior students themselves will already have quite a lot of Dharma in them, as it were. They would actually know quite a lot. So for people who are new or just normal members that come to the center, they should actually still rely on, and they have taken Rinpoche or Tsem Rinpoche, I'm giving our example, as their guru. They should still rely on Rinpoche's teachings rather than to go to another lama or another geshe or another teacher, even if it's the same lineage. And again, my question that I ask people is, have you transformed? The teachings that you already know, have you transformed? If you haven't, and your life hasn't improved in some way or another, then even if you go to another center, go to another teacher, go to another lama, and receive teachings from them, it's actually not going to be of any benefit. Because if you can't put into practice what you already know, then why are you even thinking about why are you even thinking about going to somewhere else to receive another teaching? So yes, the people that come to the Dharma Center should rely on the teachings that are already there. So for us, it would be Rinpoche's books, it would be Rinpoche's videos, the blog. That is actually not what I'm telling you. That is actually what the lamas have told us. They have, when Rinpoche passed into parinirvana, when people like Khenso Rinpoche was here and the other Rinpoches and Geshes were here, they actually told us, don't go, according to the Dharma, in this situation, you don't go and try to find another guru. You stick with your center, you stick with your teacher's teachings, and you practice it. And you put it into practice. This is exactly what Khenso Rinpoche said. And I was there when he said it. So what I'm telling you is not something that I'm making up for this particular situation. It is what the lamas of our tradition have told us that we should be doing. Okay? Yeah, go.
For me, right, I actually was Ajahn Sripani. Yeah. So like from time to time, I'll watch his so-called teaching, or is it like alright? But for me, deep down in my heart, Rinpoche is I treated Rinpoche as actually my guru lah. Yeah, but it's just that by watching the other teachers teaching, is it like some kind of betrayal or yeah.
Okay, and what you've just asked, Martin has just posed a question exactly the same on it. Okay, because especially during our situation at the moment, a lot of people are giving teachings online. Okay, now in your case it's a bit different because you had already been listening to this teacher before, and from how you talk, you've kind of accepted this person as your guru as well, because
No, I accepted Rinpoche, Tsem Rinpoche
Yeah.
as my teacher, but despite that, deep down in my heart, I accepted Rinpoche as my teacher. I still have the curiosity or the keenness to listen to
Okay. Okay. Strictly speaking, it would be the same as going to another center. Yeah.
Actually, at one time, Ajahn Sri Panyo is actually here
Mm.
in Dhammasara. I almost wanted to go, but I felt like it's not right. So eventually, I gave up the thought. Yeah.
Is in these cases, what we should actually analyze is why are we curious?
I just love his yeah.
Yeah, but again, you see, some people go to listen to teachings for different reasons. Some people might actually go to listen to teachings because they want to put it into practice. Some people go to teachings because they just like the environment. Some people go to teachings because they feel good when they go to teachings. Some people go to teachings because there's others around them that they, they're friends who, they go with. So it's more of an outing rather than something else. So in these situations, you need to kind of analyze what it is or the reason why you are wanting to go and see the teacher, or in this case, what Martin's talking about is going to watch another teacher online on live streaming or whatever.
For me, I know very well why I love him. It's because the Dharma, the so-called presentation or the Dharma knowledge that he delivered is like, I find it, suits me in a way. Yeah.
But were you listening to him before coming to Kechara and meeting?
Yes.
You see, that is kind of okay, because in your situation, technically speaking, you probably have he wouldn't be your root guru, but he would be someone that you have received teachings from. And the reason I say this is because whatever he said actually had an impact on your mind. Okay, so in that sense, he is you would class him as one of your teachers. Okay, well, obviously, because you've accepted Tsem Rinpoche as your root guru, then Tsem Rinpoche is your root guru. But because the original teacher, the teachings that he gave and that he taught actually had an impact on you, that you can consider him to be a guru. Okay, going forward is a different matter. Okay, so going forward, if you have the question to ask yourself, if you want to watch different teachers on live streaming or whatever, is the one question that you always have to ask yourself, which is the one question that Rinpoche said I always have to ask myself, is, have I put my guru's teachings into practice? So the things that you learned from Tsem Rinpoche, the things that you learned from the teacher that you like listening to previously, have I put it into practice? If the answer is no, then we should be putting it into practice. If the answer is yes, are you just wanting to listen to another live stream or another video teaching for the sake of listening to a video teaching or whatever? Or is there a purpose behind it? Is there an actual teaching that you want to receive or to practice? If there is, again, why are you listening to somebody else? You should be listening to your own guru first. Okay? So this kind of leads on to what Martins was saying. Would listening in on another Lama's live stream teaching, would that constitute going to another teacher for teachings? It is too easy these days to just log on and develop spiritual relationship with another teacher. And the answer to Martin's question is yes, it would actually be like listening to another, going to teachings with another teacher. So instead of doing that, we should actually try and learn as much and practice as much what our own teacher that we have accepted as our guru has actually taught. That would be the best thing to do in this situation. Because who knows that the teaching that you hear from another Lama is going to confuse you. Okay? Again, that is not to say that the other Lama is not practicing and that the other Lama's teachings and the way that they teach will lead to enlightenment. here is where we get a bit, when we explain this to people in this manner, sometimes people get very sectarian. And that is not the point of, they kind of take this point that has been taught and then just label everyone else sectarian. So one Lama will accuse another, one Lama students will accuse another Lama students of being sectarian because they don't go to their Lama's teachings, and vice versa. And it goes on and on. But if you actually look at it, it's not the teachings that are accusing themselves of being sectarian, it's actually the students. So what people usually don't realize is that if you're practicing Buddhism, and it's genuine form of Buddhism, no matter what tradition you are in, whether you are Theravada, whether you are Mahayana, whether you are Vajrayana, and within those schools, whatever tradition you're practicing, whatever lineage you're practicing, if it is a genuine lineage, you will become enlightened. The end point is exactly the same. It is just the way that you get there will differ. And that being said, it is always mentioned that even within the Lamrim, for example, you should never deride another Lama. You should never deride another lineage or even another school. Because what happens within Vajrayana Buddhism, not within Kechara, but I have heard it happen within Malaysia actually. You have some Vajrayana Buddhists who say that they're Vajrayana, they're better than Mahayana, and they will start looking down on Mahayana and talking badly. And then the Mahayanas will start talking badly about the Theravadas, and then the Theravadas will start talking about the Mahayanas. All of that is actually wrong, and that creates a lot of negative karma for those people. All paths are right towards enlightenment. Okay? And if you're practicing genuinely, all traditions will respect each other. Okay, I'm going to answer one last question because we have gone way over time today. From Martin. Recently, quite a few lamas gave initiations and empowerments online due to the lockdown. I think a lot of people logged in to listen and followed the online proceedings. Are they considered to have accepted another teacher and have received initiation? This specific instance, when lamas have given initiations or empowerments online and people have logged in and sat through the entire thing. I'm not talking about 5 minutes and then logged off. I'm talking about sat and watched the entire thing. What would have happened here is, I'm going to be a bit blunt, they would have broken their commitments to their original Lama or their original Guru or their Guru in general, because they didn't ask the Guru's permission to receive initiation or empowerments from another Lama. Okay? And at the same time, if they have received the empowerment and they believe that they have received the empowerment, if they do not keep the vows and the commitments that were given during these empowerments, then they are also breaking their commitments and their vows to the initiating Lama. Now, one thing that you need to understand is that when Lamas give things like initiations and empowerments publicly, they come from a tradition in which people already know that when you receive an empowerment, there are vows, there are commitments, there are sadhanas, there are mantras that you need to do. So if you have, like, for example, a Tibetan who logs on to who knows the Dharma and logs on to a particular initiation or empowerment, perhaps they really want to receive this empowerment, perhaps they have permission to receive the empowerment. In whatever case, after the empowerment is finished, they will actually keep their vows and their commitments.
because they know that they know that that is what they're supposed to do. Now, when these empowerments and these initiations and things are given publicly online, and you've got many people from all over the world logging in, even if they're following Buddhism, even if they're practicing Buddhism, even if they have a Dharma center that they're going to, do they actually know what is happening? They just know that, after this I can practice Green Tara. But do they realize that they need to practice Green Tara every single day? Do they realize that they have now taken vows, additional vows during the initiation? Are they keeping it? Are they going to keep it? So there are quite a few angles or ways to look at it, but in my case, and what Rinpoche would advise was not to log on to these initiations and empowerments if you don't have the explicit permission of your own guru. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to end it there because we have no more questions for today. So thank you everyone for joining. Next week we will start off with the section that starts on the center, which is going to be exciting, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions about that topic. And thank you to today's sponsor, which was Iman. If you would like to sponsor any of our online Dharma programs, you can click on the link on the description. Thank you for joining today's Spiritual Saturday Book Club.